Hello, Cosmic Explorers, and welcome to your Friday night tune-up. I am Hillis Pugh, minus my co-creatrix, Rebecka Gregory. I know if you guys watched the show last week, she has taken a bit of hiatus for some much-needed self-care. However, we are here, and I am so honored to have my guest co-host that will be sitting in for Rebecka for a while. She's been on the show with us a few times, and I absolutely love her. You guys love her too. So, we're going to bring in my guest co-host, my other co-creatrix, Megan Del Poria. Welcome, my dear. Hello.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me.
So, for those who don't know you or aren't familiar or don't remember you being on the show, can you just do a brief little intro about this starlight that you are?
Yeah, thank you for opening this container and for the space to be present and chat a bit about my work. I would say my main love is Kambo, which if you are not familiar with is an Amazonian frog medicine that's used for a variety of reasons. So that I serve Kambo quite a bit. And otherwise, I'm a student of the universe. I'm on my plant medicine path and doing my healing work and remembering who I am and figuring out how to live within this modern reality that we've agreed to be truth while, honoring myself and also showing up in service to my human family. So I work with many modalities in the healing arts, obviously combo and tarot and herbalism and food and yoga, meditation. I just want to know it all. When I grow up, I hope to be an acupuncturist. So I just love learning, how we can become vital in this matrix that we're in.
I love it. And you said something that's really key here, and it went in and went right out my ear, but I'm like, bring it back, bring it back. Um, and how we are here and present on this earth, on this plane. And, we talked earlier in this week about what it would entail for this evening. And as we were preparing just a few moments ago, we were talking about psychedelics and the importance and the use of them in our society, and how, especially, with the growth of all psychedelics, such as, um, the mushrooms, and with the other forms of psychedelics, with San Pedro or Wachuma and peyote and ayahuasca or DMT. And I watch this show just because it makes me laugh, and how people sometimes could be so careless with this. And it's this show on this channel on YouTube called Tales of the Trip, or Tales from the Trip. And
Hmm.
it's just like short funny clips. I don't know how I found it, but it's short funny clips about people sharing their psychedelic experience.
Mm-hmm.
And if I want a good laugh, I'll watch it. But then, after I was watching, it was like some people can be a little careless with the interactions with this medicine, because
Yeah.
essentially what I want people to want to take away is that psychedelics, it is medicine. It's first and foremost medicine. Second of all, they're teachers, and they're helping us to evolve and grow into a different world as we emerge in this space of energy.
Yeah. And this is something I am incredibly passionate about
Yeah.
because part of the last year of my journey was um, venturing out into some of the plant medicine circles within the States and being very displeased with what I see. I see a lot of recklessness. I see a lot of a lack of true spiritual understanding. I
Hmm.
feel there's a lot of loose, porous spiritual hygienic boundaries, and it's dangerous. This is we are we are gifted the opportunity to have the presence for the healing of our human family in this way. And so when I see it being approached in what feels like a lacking of structure or a lack of safety or proper containers, it it gets me going.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because people always talk about the clinical side of it, to have safety and to have the appropriate setting. And for people like you and I know me personally, I've been doing plant medicine for a little over 9 years, and I know that you've been on this journey to really understand it. And the depth of this and the appreciation of it is what holds it together, because there could be people who do it haphazardly, and that's fine. That I mean, people do it recreational, that's fine. It's whatever you want to do, whatever you feel called to do it, but in whatever space, just allow yourself to be responsible, because when you're
Mhm.
in this space, and when I mention space, when you're in this altered space of consciousness, because that's what it is ultimately, this altered space of consciousness, there's this way about your being that opens up. There's
Yeah.
new levels of sensitivity that you have to adjust for and account to, and then you have to hold yourself accountable for it. And it's in the true understanding of, okay, who am I in this moment? Where am I in this moment? Who am I responsible for in this moment? And sometimes, when we have the organized or structured settings, we sometimes give our power to those who are leading that space. But
Yeah.
yet, you are still in this sacred space. You're still in this community, this container, if you will. Being in this altered space, you still are responsible for you, whether you
Mhm.
say, "Hey, I need help," or "I got this," whatever it is, or anything in between. It's really knowing who you are and what your limit is, and are you able to push past it. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's really important for everyone to understand.
Certainly, and it's like you said, they're teachers, and so they're showing us. And I'm not a total stick in the mud, like I don't drink, so like I love to get some dance floor therapy and take a little microdose and go out. But I didn't
Yep.
do that when I first started working with these medicines, right? I did
Mhm.
my work for years, and I learned how to have proper energetic boundaries with these things within me, between me
Yeah.
and the space around me. And I had to get my ass kicked a couple times in ceremony to learn, right? Like, oh, I didn't have a good boundary there. And so then once I learned
Yeah.
that, I could take it elsewhere. So ultimately, they're teaching us deep honoring of self. They're teaching us how to turn inward. And the further we turn inward and walk into like the jeweled cave of our heart, the
Mhm.
more we are confident in meeting our needs, protecting our space, and therefore like showing up, whether it be ceremonial, whether it be you and your friends having a little bit of fun, which is so important in our healing journeys and deserves to be
Yeah.
included, or whether it be, hey, I'm going to go do an MDMA session at Johns Hopkins and it's going to be quite clinical, but I'm still going to be able to say, no, that doesn't feel right. Like
Yeah.
they're teaching us how to come into that, our power ultimately,
Yeah.
right? And so, no,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah.
And I'm glad you said that, because microdosing is interesting, and I learned recently of a new way to microdose, which I wasn't aware of, because when I started microdosing, I learned that you do, an eighth of a teaspoon, which is 300 to 500 milligrams. You do that one day, and then you off for 3 days, and you on again one day. So it's like you're off and on. But this
Mm-hmm.
new way that I recently read about that was fascinating to me, was that you microdose for 3 days, and then you're off for two. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, maybe I should
Yeah.
do that one.
Yeah, that's I encountered a protocol similarly through Paul Stamets, who usually I think suggests like a 4 days on, 3 days off. Um, but yeah, I do like that because I feel like it's a microcosm of the macrocosm, which is it's medicine integrate,
Yeah,
medicine integrate, right?
integrate.
So it gives you the space to have this elevation in your system for a chunk of time, and to feel it and to set intention and work with whatever that intention is. And then also to have a few days of just self and integrating what you just got from those 4 days. And I think that that's really
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah, and now then, for those who've been watching for the past 4 months, I've been on a personal plant medicine journey of my own where I've been doing a dieta in my state, in my being, and it's real interesting the things that I've learned in this process doing this, you know, over 4 months now doing this dieta and really understanding the lessons that are coming along with that. And with that being said, we are in this great space and this amazing space and this great school of the planet Earth with all these multitude of teachers and how they show up with us, and not just physical teachers like you and I, not like people, but actual the plants, the mushrooms, the trees, the clouds, the
The
suns, the
best
universe.
teachers.
Right, the people who were here, the energy, the beings that were here first. But what I found fascinating through all of this, since for the past 3 years, and I know you felt the same with this, is that people or some people in our community and some extended community has been talking about, oh, I got to get out the matrix. So I want to break out of the matrix. So I'm going to do psychedelics and plant medicine to break out of the matrix. But I'm like, huh?
Good luck with that.
Because, and I see this in two ways. And let me know how you feel about this. Is that
Okay.
the first way, is the most well known or well versed way when people speak about I want to break out of the matrix is that they are referring to uh, the programming, the conditioning, the societal programming and conditioning, which that aspect I understand because you
Yes.
have to allow for yourself to open up to new endeavors, new possibilities, new beliefs to allow for yourself to move forward and integrate in the new energy that's coming in. That aspect I get. But the piece that people probably compound or misunderstand is that the matrix itself is Mother Earth. The matrix itself is the universe. So why would you want to break free from something? Because if you're breaking free, you're going to transition and go off into another space. To me, that's what breaking free of the matrix is. Is you're gonna
Mhm.
it's like, okay, I'm done. I volunteered my time. I'm out.
Like the sadhus, right? They're like, okay, it's my time now. Bye.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I entirely agree with you in all of that. First part, yes, it is so important for us to start to challenge the programming of the reality that we've agreed upon to be truth, which is sick, right? This is a sick
Yeah.
society that we live within. So yes, it is absolutely pertinent that if we want to go beyond and thrive and heal and be able to create a new way, where not so many people are suffering, then we must challenge that. But I'm a bit of a Hermione. I resonate really much, like very heavily with my Virgo alignments, and so like I love words, and I think that what people forget is exactly what you said. Like the word matrix, if you go into an etymology dictionary, the origin of that word is matriz, which means womb or uterus, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
how are we, even if you set up your life and you're able to homestead and make a living from that and homeschool your kids and have like this beautiful community where you have started to create a new code in the programming, you are not going to escape Mother Earth. We have to be here. You know, this is our learning planet and this is our teacher and this is what we're here for, is to come to spiritual school. So I often wonder, like, the people that seem to really be in that paradigm of that, like, escaping the matrix thing, I want to sort of ask them, like, where's your mother wound?
Yeah. And that's very important. I like what you just said there in that, because when we allow ourselves to step into the sacred womb space of the earth, when we allow ourselves to feel that energy, because you think of it this way, Here's a great analogy for all those watching who to really to put this into perspective. So imagine Mother Earth is your body, and you have, for comparison's sake, billions, but I know it's trillions of cells in the body, just running rampant, doing their job, assisting the organs, assisting the system, creating all the chemicals, this ocean of energy, literally and physically and metaphorically running through you. You have
Mm-hmm.
this a massive amount of energy running through you. But they're the ones that aren't doing their job. They make their transition, they go, they die, they go off, they transform and create something new. And you have the bad ones who aren't doing anything, they're just creating, wreaking havoc. So just imagine that's the same thing that's happening on the planet, the Mother Earth, in the womb, in the matrix of self. And so you have that. And so then you want to create a habitable environment. And so, how do you do that? You create the energy of coherence throughout the system. And how do you create the energy of coherence? Is by having this vast space of communication throughout the system. Whether and just imagine the ley lines of the earth and the meridian system and the circulatory system of the body, and that's the form of communication where everything is running through the heartbeat. You have the
Mm-hmm.
center, and just like the Mother Earth, you have two spaces. You have the center of the Earth, which radiates the Schumann resonance, and then you have the stratosphere, the energy that's coming in. So you have two spaces where this energy is being produced. And you have every organism on the planet working to communicate and relay these messages of transformation and change. And so you have the same thing that's happening in the body. So we're the cells of the planet doing whatever we want to do, building houses and having jobs and trying to have a life and do this. The same thing is going on in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And so just when you have the comparison energy and you want to break free from the matrix, when you want to break free from Mother Earth, you have to begin with self. And what program, what beliefs are you holding on to? Because in the sacred womb of there is, the sacred womb of the planet, the sacred womb of the universe, it all starts there. So it's not to break free from something, it's to integrate it, understand the growth, the change, the evolution that is infinite.
The cosmic gestation that we're all here to do, right? Like
Yeah.
this is a teacher planet, and what I see in that they say it themselves, right? Like we just have to
Yeah.
listen. Escape the matrix. It's steeped in escapism. When has escapism ever been a good route? Or I don't even want to say good. I'm trying to train myself to move beyond goods and bads and see information. When has it ever been a fruitful route to healing, right? And so like I think that there's a lot of power in
It's like
sitting where
spiritual
you're just
bypassing.
in a way. And so if you're
Yeah.
willing to just straight escape all of this, where are you willing to escape yourself, right? Like where are you not going to show up for like the gestation of yourself in this womb, which is, I mean, it's tumultuous. Birth is tumultuous. I just had the opportunity to hold my friend's leg while she gave birth. The first live birth I've ever been to is a mess, my God, and it's the most beautiful thing you'll ever see. So like all you have to do is look outside and you're in it, right?
Yeah, and it can be messy. I like that you brought that up. I mean, and what I find fascinating, this has always been one of my greatest analogies, is being a writer, being a healer, being a teacher, being all these things, right? Is that creation takes time,
Mm-hmm.
construction takes time, but
Mm-hmm.
destruction happens in an instant.
Mm.
And if you
Mm-hmm.
don't have a solid foundation to build it on, then it's all going to crumble. And if you look to the ancient sites of the world, if you look to South America, if you look to Japan, if you look to, uh, you know, all the sacred sites into Egypt, all these sacred sites on the planet, you understand that they all have very strong foundations. And yet, not one civilization completed the structure. It was many civilizations over a period of years,
Mm-hmm.
decades even, to complete these structures, to add to them, to add their take on what it is that they saw and their purpose in what they were used for. So when you have the strong foundation of self, when you have, a new belief of self, which actually I'm in the process of working on doing this dieta for, over
I
four
was,
months.
oh, you're in my head. Because I just finished 30 days of dieta and decided I'm gonna take it through Lent. So with
Don't even,
and the discipline practice. That's how you make the strong foundation. Is the discipline practices,
yes,
which is what the Matrix really needs now, right? Is us
yeah,
to come into our discipline practices because ancient peoples had that in many ways.
yeah. Well,
Sometimes they had to, and sometimes it was for the spiritual aims and pursuits. And we lack a lot of discipline in a modern world.
yeah, because they didn't have all the distractions that we have now. Like,
Yep.
oh, what am I going to find on Netflix tonight? Oh, what am I going to, hang out with my friends? Oh, so I mean, there's all of these to all these distractions,
Yep.
that allow for the foundation not to be as strong. But however, if you have, and you can have all the distractions in the world you want to, nothing wrong with it. However, if you go back to your beliefs, to your foundation of really understanding, why am I here, or who am I, if you have answers to these questions, and mind you, the answers to those questions are ever evolving, so we truly never know who we are at one moment, or what we evolve into. So it's in that space of, you know having the discipline like you just talked about, and then allowing ourselves to, okay, I'm going to allow myself to have a distraction because this is going to help me to integrate the energy, help me to be where I need to be, to have fun, to let go, and to have that peace. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, now it's time to get back to work. And so it's now in the space where things are shifting and things are coming into something different now. And so now that's what it is. It's not to break free from anything. It's about how do we become more integrated in it to create something stronger, more beautiful, more radiant,
Yep.
to see what we see on our psychedelic journeys.
Yeah, I love that. Like, I've been thinking as I've been pondering this and just in our conversation tonight, I've seen the grid. I've seen the grid many times. I've seen the grid around the earth, and I've seen the grid that holds it all together. I've like seen the Matrix, right? And like it's it, it's just making sense. Like all of these journeys that I went on, even at the beginning, that like sort of made no sense at that moment, still continuously unfolding and giving me information. And so, like, I was thinking back to having seen those, and at the moment, like, I didn't really know what it was. And it's just constant information. And what we see in
Yeah.
our journeys is basically just it never stops. It never
No.
stops teaching and unfolding in the informative sphere. It's really the medicines are brilliant.
Yeah, and what I like about this is that as we allow ourselves to touch different aspects or different planes of existence and of ascension, more information becomes readily available to us, and know that we are the creators of this space. And
Yep.
as I allow myself to move into this space even more, so to become a master teacher and to become a master student, because we never stop learning, we never stop teaching, is that we then become creators of this. And one of the things that I've started really acknowledging about myself is that, I was watching some stuff on Gaia TV the other day. They were talking about how they were showing these ancient writings of Sumeria, and how they coincide with some of the stuff from Egypt and some of the stuff from Machu Picchu and all this other. I'm like, oh, okay. And so there was a point where I paused what I was watching. I literally paused it on the screen, looking at these symbols, and I'm like, wait, I know these symbols. And it's beginning to get to a point where I can loosely understand what these symbols are, because you know what I do. I mean, I started to even create my own symbols, or reach into the library, to the Akashic records, and started retrieving information, and actually uh, evolving it into more cohesiveness of what is allowed to be used, or what can be used for the evolution, not just of self, but for the planet. Because you start here, and
Mhm.
then it radiates out to everything else around us.
You don't even have to, and this has been a big part of my journey. You don't even have to do anything. You just have to be yourself. You know,
Yeah,
you just show up and be present in who you are, and that is an activation for everybody that gazes upon you, because there's inspiration in somebody that knows themselves and that trusts themselves and that cares for themselves.
yeah,
And so that's my favorite thing is like, we're so, the matrix loves to do, right? We're so in our doing bodies. And when I first came into like shifting from being, having more leadership roles and doing more work on people, I felt like I had to do so much. And I was just going through these constant waves of compassion fatigue, right? Light workers
mhm,
flu, because I didn't realize that I didn't have to do so much. I just had to show up and be me and
yeah.
hold the container and hold the space, and everybody else did their own work.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I'm loving this conversation, and we probably will continue this next week, because this is just so much and so fascinating. So you guys have to tune in next week for part two. Um, as much as because this is just so juicy, you know.
I love
But,
it.
Colin, I know probably mentioned this a little bit ago, but he said they're loving this conversation, and so it's just resonating with who we are, and bringing more of ourselves forward to let people know that it's not what it seems to be. It's much more, right?
Oh,
Much more.
so much more.
I
Oh my god. Every time you
love it.
think you got it understood, they're going to throw a new math in, right? Like they're like, "Oh, you got multiplication down? Well, now let's go to division." And I'm like, "Oh
Yeah,
shit."
exactly. It's like, yeah, don't even get me started. It's like, okay, wait, you're done with algebra and geometry. Here's calculus. I'm like, oh no.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
yeah, I know it's just interesting. But you know, it wouldn't be Friday night without the tuna.
Mm.
So tonight, and actually, no, it's beautiful, and how what I'm feeling is going to come through for everyone, because the symbol that I showed to you earlier, Megan, is going to be a part of tonight's
Mm.
process. So
Beautiful.
yeah, I know I'm excited, because I was wanting to work with this particular symbol, and I said it's not time yet, and so now it's time, because
It
it's
is
complete.
time. I was watching Gaia. I've been involved in Gaia's Sacred Geometry series, and so it's so perfectly attuned because I was on the episode today where they were talking about like the sacred geometry symbols of all of the elements. So I love
Yeah,
that like I got that education, and now we're coming into like this creation space that you've created for us.
yeah, I'm excited, and so yeah, I got something I want to share with you once we're off about that particular series, something that I learned and started doing myself.
It's
Um,
blowing my mind.
yeah, especially something I did on the mushroom journey. It blew my mind, so yeah, I have to tell you about
Yes, I
it.
can't wait to hear.
And maybe I'll talk about it next week. Who knows? But so wherever you are, dear ones, would just allow yourself to relax, to be present, and taking a nice big deep breath as I grab my Lemurian healing rod and open the page of my book of light language symbols and go to this particular symbol that I'm being called to work with for this evening, to call forth this beautiful elemental energy that is here for us, that is beautiful for us, that is here to assist us, because what I learned about elements, especially earth elements, they defy all law. They're the only things that have their own laws.
Mm.
And when they work together, when they are in sync as one, it's a beautiful unfolding of creation. So just taking a nice big deep breath and close your eyes and just feel this energy of the water that brings life, the earth for our foundation, the air that gives us direction, and the fire that gives us the spark, and the spirit, the soul that is infinitely you in all forms. And just feel this beautiful dance of elements around you, the elemental energy of the earth, the air, the water, and fire, to have this movement, this freedom of coherence within the body, because we hold all elements in our physical being, because we are the elements, we are the earth, we are the sky, we are the fire, we are the water, we are all things. It is just in our level of awareness in which we connect to the beauty that is us, as we connect to the beauty that we define and choose to be in any given moment. Doesn't matter your astrology, doesn't matter of any of these labels that we define ourselves to be. It is just in the labels of our belief, of our programs, that we allow ourselves to dissolve and be one with the energy of the sacred womb, the womb of the earth, the womb of the universe, the school of the galaxy, as we allow ourselves to open, to learn, to receive from all these great teachers that are intertwined and connected to these elements. Because without these elements, there would be no teachers. And we have to honor the sacred teachers that are here in this space, infinitely connected, intricately woven in and out. And everyone taking a nice big deep breath in this moment. Allowing the elements to whisper to you in the wind, to support you as you journey in your day, to breathe you life, to hydrate you, knowing that all things come from the water, and knowing the fire, the spark of your heart, to motivate you, to lift you, to guide you, to keep your physical being warm, and to ignite the mind, and to know that the spirit is infinitely present through the awareness of the vibration of your fields, with the allowing of your heart, mind, body, soul, knowing that we are one infinitely and infinitely one in this connected field of matricities. And just allowing you to receive the elements, to understand that wisdom that they have carried for millennia, to hold you and grant you new information that you've asked for, not in just in this moment, but in the infinite moments to come. And everyone just taking a nice big deep breath. And begin to open your eyes wherever you are, allowing the brilliance of your soul to radiate infinitely and for you to be infinitely you. Mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Mm.
So even though this was just a short transmission, everyone, this was still a very potent one. So take time to rest, hydrate when you need to, and if you want, check in. I want to know how you're doing after this because this is beauty in itself. And so, Megan, is there any message you'd like to leave with anyone before we end the night?
Hmm. I suppose based on what's alive for me and what's feeling really important in my reading of divine information right now. And I've chatted with this about a few people, and I feel like a lot of others are feeling this as well. And so I offer this reminder from the heart with no pressure. But there's there's special energy available to us right now. There are special codes available to us right now. And the the way to them is through discipline. And I can't tell you where in your life you need more discipline. You know that. Um, and that's for you to read to the divine information in your own experience. But I have this intuitive sensation that this is a special moment and a unique opportunity. And if we don't grab it, I think we might gaze upon it in retrospect, wishing we had. So
Mm.
turn inward and seek peace and be kind to self and other and find your heart and stay
Mm.
there.
I love that. Thank you for that message, Megan. And in the heart of Rebecca,
Oh, I love her.
keep exploring, everyone. And remember, don't create. What? Oh my God! I just messed it up. Uh,
No, you didn't.
uh,
Never that.
remember to create yourself and be the change in you.
Mm.
It's always to be the change. Don't limit yourself and create the change in you. Be the change in you. Love the change in you. Feel all that delicious energy, everyone. And until next week, have a beautiful, beautiful day. Oh, where did it go?